In this video, I want to make a night sky yarn with lots of little stars. So let's get started. Okay, I have a few thoughts before I even get started. So I have this other kind of dusk sky that I created, and something that I really noticed when I used this off-white, very thin string to ply it with is it almost does have an effect that could look like stars, especially with a darker base color. So that's one of my thoughts on how to have some like star look to this. But my other thought is to actually just put little pieces of white throughout just to sort of bring out maybe larger stars. And they can be decently long like this because once I do the spiral ply, because seriously, yes, I am still on a kick of doing this spiral ply and core spun yarn because I can't get over the texture. It is like perfect for weaving. So my thoughts are once, you know, a piece like this is actually spiraled, it's gonna be much smaller. So I'm gonna try that. The other thought I had is that I could also use something like this. This is a single ply merino yarn. And I could actually take this and either cut or just pull little pieces. But if I pull little pieces, it's really no different than taking the pieces of actual merino. So I don't know if there's a better technique. I feel like using up little scrap bits of roving probably makes more sense than to use a yarn that I could actually weave with something else. So let's go ahead and get the drum carder on. Some of the other colors I've pulled are this really deep but very rich blue, and I have some black, and then I also have a little bit of a slightly lighter blue. I don't know for sure if I want to use this, and some more of a, what would I even call this? It's more of a grayish dark blue, this one, but I think that could look good as well. But I think we'll start off with sort of a base of the dark blue. I'm thinking I'll do a full layer across. No, maybe I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to stagger the black and the blue. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started. Now this one, I also want to try to do more of a stripy method of putting the wool on the drum carder. And we're going to see how that turns out. You know, I need to kind of switch it up and try different things. So my thoughts are just, we'll just get a bunch of this blue on here. I feel like when creating yarns for being more nature inspired, I do like them to be nice and organic looking. So next up, I'm gonna grab some of my black, and I think I'm just gonna put it between all that blue. I do feel like a third color might be nice. So maybe I will use some of this really dark blue. I think that could be nice. This one feels like it might be a little on the felted side, which probably means I've previously woven it into something and then took it out. So now I'm just trying to fill in all the little gaps with this one. And then I want to add more of that blue in because I do think that that's what we're going to need a lot of, just to make this look more like sky. I don't want it to get too gray, and honestly that gray was pretty gray. So I want to make sure that there's lots of blue in the mix. I did think about adding a little bit of a lighter blue in there, but I'm not sure if that's going to be just way too light and sort of take away from that really dark sky look. Let's see what a very little bit of this blue would do. Just very thin slice, stripe slice. I don't know why I said slice. Okay, okay. I actually kind of like that. I think by keeping it really, like just a really small amount, it won't become too prominent in the whole bat. Let's add some more black. Now I'm thinking I'm gonna add a little bit more of the dark blue, kind of blended into those little bits of lighter blue that I added. I'm truly just, you guys know. It's probably obvious. I'm just making this up as I go along. don't know, I really like doing things that way because it is a fun like surprise, and I think it's called a creative practice for a reason. You kind of just have to practice things, and to me, it is just enjoyable to try things, learn from them, and take them into the next thing. So my thoughts are that I'm not even gonna add the white till we're at the very top of the bat, because I don't wanna like layer in a bunch of the white, making it too white. And I guess we're just gonna have to see if that'll work well. So basically I'm just gonna keep on layering the dark blue, the light blue, the black, and when I feel like it's kind of thick enough, this might be the last layer, and then we will go ahead and start adding sort of a little bits of white to make the stars. I don't know why I feel like a little bit nervous about this one. I just don't know. I don't know, but when do I ever know, really? So, okay. I want to cover up a little bit of this light blue. I wish I had something that was more in between this dark blue and the light blue, but I didn't really have anything. So that's why I'm like, I can just kind of create it on the drum. So I'm just adding a really thin layer of the dark blue over those light blue spots. So I think I'm ready now. Well, we'll pack this down a little bit more. This is probably going to be a little bit of a smaller skein of yarn in the end, but that's totally okay. You know, when we're testing out new ideas, it's probably best not to make a ton of the yarn just until we know what it looks like. And then I can always go back to it and create more if I want to. So let's add our stars. So I have this full thickness piece of roving, and what I'm thinking is just grabbing a chunk and sort of just like sticking it in. I wonder if I should, and I want to make sure that they're all kind of spread out. I just don't know the length that would be ideal, but I kind of am working with the staple length. So when I just kind of like how it naturally wants to come out, but maybe I'll split this in half. And I want to make sure that they're staggered. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put one in, move it forward a little, and then put another one in. And again, because I'm going to be plying this with an off-white that will further add sort of a starry look to this, I'm gonna try not to worry too much about this being perfect. And I mean, what even is perfect in this situation that I've never done? So there's that as well. And this is gonna look hilarious at first. I probably could also have some of these chunks and just toss them in as I'm spinning, but I do think it's a little bit more streamlined if it's already in the bat, obviously. I think I'm gonna call that good. And we're gonna take this off and we're gonna spin it and see what the results are. Oh gosh, all the white is kind of falling out, which was probably, some of you are like, yeah, I saw that coming. So that's not great. So you can see it's very, very sparse with the white, which again, I was kind of going for, but I'm wondering if what I'll need to do is just sort of add in white as I spin it. I think ultimately that might be a little bit easier because then I can kind of visualize and gauge how far apart the white should be. So maybe that's better, but I guess we don't know until we know, right? Let me stare at this for a little bit. But also, since I am going to be plying it, with that white. Maybe I won't need to add more white because I don't want this to be too aggressively white because it's supposed to be like a sky at night. So it's really dark still. Okay, we're gonna get out the spinning wheel. So let's get to that part. So I have my spinning wheel set up. I'm gonna split this bat into smaller chunks. See, now I have this space with literally no white in it for so long. So I could just, and I might have to, again, add some more white in. Let's just put that in there. Okay, I'm just gonna take one piece and just start and see what it looks like. I'm gonna spin around, I'm gonna core spin around this yarn. This is Briggs & Little Heritage yarn, I believe. And this is, I think the color is just called Navy. It's just the darkest blue. Something I've been doing recently, and I'm sure, like, I know for a fact I'm not like the first person to do this. It's just something I was like, maybe I should try this. If I'm working with a really thick piece, I've lately been going in and just sort of stretching it out prior to spinning. So it just kind of helps. It's like I don't know what the official name is. I'm sure one of you knows, but it's like you're kind of pre-drawing it a little bit. And I think it's just to just make it a little bit easier as you go. We're just gonna see what happens with this. Okay, so here's a spot where it's quite a ways down now till I have another chunk of white. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab another chunk of white. And usually, well, always, when I'm saying white, I mean natural. I don't really use like a bleached or anything merino wool. I just use the natural undyed stuff. And I find that that's white enough for most of what I wanna do. So I'm just gonna try to add that in there. Okay, I've spun up all the bat. So now I'm gonna move on to plying it. A couple of you have asked me what I like to ply with, and it is 216 cotton string. So it's just a really narrow cotton string. I think another thing you could use is like a crochet cotton. I think that's quite thin. I haven't looked at that in ages, so don't quote me on it, but whatever really thin cotton string should work. Here we go. This is what it's looking like so far, and I do think that this is gonna add a lot of those kind of starry feel I was going for, but let's see how it turns out. All right, I finished spinning it, so I'm gonna get it into a skein so we can look at it kind of as a whole. Okay, before I twist this up and turn it into a skein, let's have a look at the finished skein. Just laying out. It's very pretty. And when I lined it all up like this is kind of more so how it would look once it's woven. Now, I do think that I could have more evenly spaced out the little white parts, but even so, I'm wondering if the white was even really needed. If you've ever made a speckled yarn, let me know how you do it in the comments down below. My thoughts are maybe with little yarn scraps. And here's what it looks like when it's all kind of just twisted up. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you have any constructive advice on how I could make a better nighttime sky yarn in the future. But I am excited to try weaving this, so if you enjoyed this video, check out this one next.